What's good, guys? This is Unjolly Ranchers diving in the shadows of Life's Untamed Tales. Today's story is definitely a crazy one, so let's just get into it. Now, this story takes place back in July of 2021. At the time, I was living in a studio apartment and looking for new housing. My high school crush, who was 3 years older than me, we'll just call her Quinn for the sake of this video, started kicking it with me at the time and told me her neighbor Stan was looking for a roommate to take over the lower floor of his house. We ended up going over to Stan's the next day. When we got to the house, it was completely trashed. Walking in the door, the downstairs living room was a mess. Cardboard boxes and plastic bags cluttered the floor, sticky wet spots everywhere. The trash was so thick you couldn't even see the floor. There was broken speakers and other random shit sitting everywhere. Old bowls of food growing mold and plants out of them. It was straight up worse than Muscle Man's house from Regular Show. The house reeked. As we headed through the hallway, I asked Quinn, "Dude, what the fuck happened here?" And she told me there was a crackhead living there, mooching off Stan, not paying rent and eating his food. Yeah, it would have been good information to know before we showed up, but whatever. So we got upstairs to Stan's part of the crib, and it was absolutely beautiful. It's like old school bar vibes with pinball machines and vintage collectibles everywhere. As we walked into Stan's office, there sat a 69-year-old man with a handlebar mustache drinking a glass of whiskey, building a little birdhouse. Quinn introduced us, and we instantly hit it off. Stan told me the rent was only $300 a month, and he'd love to have me around, saying I could move anytime after he was paid. So I handed him the $300 on the spot and headed back downstairs with Quinn after getting to know this rad old man. As we walked down the stairs, this was the first time I saw the crackhead. He was roughly 6 feet tall and smelled like he just shit his pants, pulled it out, then rubbed it all over his body after brushing his teeth with it. Dude probably hadn't showered or washed his clothes in frickin' weeks. As he went upstairs to see Stan, he gave us the dirtiest look. Feeling proud I now own my own 2-bedroom, 1-bath house all to myself, I honestly couldn't stand the shape it was in. So I threw on some gloves and started cleaning this pigsty I was left with. One of the bedrooms was locked and the other was packed full of boxes full of documents and old technology from the 80s. It wasn't dirty, so I started with the living room. As Quinn helped me to clean up my new crib, I heard some arguing upstairs. "What do you mean, man? You're kicking me out?" Stan obviously broke the news to him and I was so relieved. Stan told him he had one day to pack his shit and get out. I could hear a bit of arguing and disrespect from this twacked out bum, which really pissed me off. I mean, Stan was such an amazing kind soul. I was about halfway done with the living room when he came back down. "What the hell are you doing with my shit, kid?" he yelled at me. I wasn't taking any disrespect from this bum after seeing the house and hearing the shit he was telling Stan, so I told him, "I'm cleaning up this damn mess you haven't touched in months. I'll put all your shit outside that door." "No, you're not touching any of my stuff." He walked past me and started grabbing his belongings that I thought were basically trash and literally threw them into his room, stomping around like a toddler whose parents just turned off fucking Yo Gabba Gabba. He then locked himself in his room and I heard a bunch of rumbling. It took almost 6 hours to clean and disinfect this living room and dining room. Quinn then took me back to my studio apartment and helped me grab the rest of my shit except for the furniture. I set everything up and made the living room feel like home. That night, I shampooed the carpet and the couch I'd be sleeping on and hung out with Quinn for a bit until she headed home. The next morning, around 4 a.m., I was awoke to an angry crackhead using a blowtorch in his room. At the time, I didn't know if he was taking a dab or something else, but I had my assumptions. He then started throwing shit around for hours. So here I am, pissed off, waking up to a tweaker in my house that I just got, purposely being disrespectful. He came out maybe an hour later and gave me a death stare. "The fuck you looking at, tweaker? This wouldn't be happening if you just paid your fucking rent, but you're 3 months late and Stan's sick of it." "I'm getting my shit together, punk. Fuck off." He walked into the bathroom and started taking a shit. Knowing I wasn't falling back asleep, having to keep my guard up, I started making my coffee. As I was in the kitchen, he walked out of the bathroom and stormed back into his room. But man, that coffee mixed with hitting my vape gave me the shits. So I went into the bathroom, but when I walked in, there was piss all over the seat and a cigarette butt in the toilet. I was furious, man. Clenching my cheeks, I wiped that piss off and I did my thing. Then pounded on his door. He cracked it open an inch and asked me, "What the hell do you want now?" "Dude, I don't care if you smoke a stogie in there, but don't put the fucking butts in my toilet. That's just gonna cause plumbing issues." "Don't bitch at me, kid. You don't know shit about pipes." Dude, my dad had me help him tear apart my plumbing in our house when I was just a little kid because I put paper down it. Don't come at me for shit. This is my house now, and you've got 8 hours to pack your shit and get the hell out. He slammed the door in my face, so I went back in the living room and took a bong rip to calm my nerves. I seriously wanted to hit this tweak so bad. Never in my life had anyone showed me this much disrespect. Quinn came over maybe an hour later to hang out and help me bring Stan's file boxes up to the attic so I'd have a bedroom that night. Then I went back to my old apartment for the furniture and threw it all in that empty room. Now fast forward to that night, Quinn and I were chilling in the living room, smoking a little weed and watching a movie. One thing led to another, and there I was making out with my high school crush. Things were getting a little hot, and the crackhead who I thought had left my house came out of the room and used the bathroom. He should have been the hell out of my house at this point, but I had way more important things going on. Quinn and I ended up heading to my bedroom and got down to business, trying to be quiet and respectful to Stan, who was sleeping on the next floor up. But as we were doing our thing, the crackhead in the next room started pounding on the wall and yelled, "Be fucking quiet, I'm trying to sleep." Now, this was my house and he should have been out a long time ago. I was fed up. So I started going harder, pumping like a pizza boy in an 80s adult movie. He started banging on the wall again and told us to be quiet, so I yelled, "You're just mad no woman would ever want to sleep with your strung out ass. Shut up before you really piss me off and I come out there." He went silent, then we went to bed. That next morning was pretty good, no sight of the crackhead. Quinn went home, I drank my coffee, then went to see what I had to clean up out of the crackhead's room. Not one thing was out of that room. I wasn't sure if he just left or planned on coming back, but there was no way in hell I was gonna let him back in of my own free will. So I started going through his shit, cleaning up the garbage. As I cleaned, I ended up finding a child stuffed pony that was covered in, well, I'll just say mayo. This dude was definitely a creep, probably a pedo. I threw almost everything into trash bags that wasn't worth some value, and I kept what was left. After all, I spent 15 hours of my time cleaning up after him, so I felt it was fair to keep his TV, toolbox, and a few other things, you know. All that was left was to clean under the bed. Now, this is where the story gets intense. As I cleaned, I found a small metal box. Inside contained multiple needles, a spoon, a few random pills, a rubber wire, and a bag of fucking crystals. Yeah. Probably not surprising, but I was pissed. Imagine I had all these hard drugs in my house, so I took multiple pictures of the contents inside, then flushed all the drugs down the toilet. It contradicting with the cigarette, but I didn't want that shit in my house. I ended up putting everything that he owned that wasn't trash outside on the porch, then set up my room and set the vibes how I like it. A bit later, I left the crib to kick it with Quinn and hit a longboard ride and smoke sesh. But when I got home, the front door was open, and guess who was there? Yeah, you guessed it, Mr. Tweak himself. Going through my bedroom and my property looking for you know what. I yelled at him, "What the hell are you doing in my house, motherfucker?" "Where is it?" "What, the case of hard drugs you've been strung out on? I flushed that shit down the toilet. If you were out of my damn house on time, this wouldn't have happened." He then got inches from my face, giving me a murderous stare, and said, "You're a little punk, and you won't get away with this." Dude, get out. The fuck are you gonna do? He then shoved me as he walked out my front door. Now, I'm not the fighting type, but I was fed up with the disrespect towards myself and everyone else. So I stormed after him and yelled, "Did you really just push me, you overgrown junkie of a man-child?" "Yeah, what if I did? What are you gonna do about it, punk?" he said as he stepped towards me, getting in my face again. He pushed me and repeated himself, "Do something, punk, try me." So your boy is capable of shooting a bird out of the air with his spit? So I hocked a loogie at this tweaker after pushing him off of me. The loogie landed right in his mouth. "What the fuck, you spit in my mouth?" he said as the dentures this 40-year-old man kept in his toothless mouth. He then stormed towards me with murderous intent and tripped on a tote full of his crap, fell face first into the deck, struggling to get up. I almost felt a little bad for this dude. Imagine a grown man acting like he wasn't even out of pull-ups yet. He got up, repositioned his fake teeth in his mouth, and started walking towards me again. "Dude, I don't want to fight you. Step back before you get your ass beat by a kid." He then collected his composure and stepped back, started grabbing his crap off my deck, saying, "You're a little punk, and lucky I don't have my gun." "Why's that, Tweak?" because you can't take my scrawny 18-year-old ass like a man? Maybe lay off the dope and gain your muscle mass back. Get your shit and leave my property. If I ever catch you in my house again, you won't get another warning. You'll wake up in a hospital bed. At this point, he was shaking in his boots out of fear and anger. Whatever, punk. I'm getting my shit and leaving. I offered to help him out because honestly I felt a little bad for him. I mean, who knows what this dude had been through in life that turned him into the sad shard of a man he was. I didn't like the way I treated him, but after the way he treated me, I had no choice unless I wanted to be walked on. He of course refused, grabbed all his shit and threw it inside his tweakmobile and left. I went back inside, smoked a bowl, and looked over the video I took. I actually spent over 4 hours logging into my old social medias and asking friends if they had the video, but sadly I couldn't find it for you guys. If I ever find it in the future, I will definitely upload it. Anyways, after that, I never saw that tweaker in or around my house ever again. Everything was peaceful and chill vibes for the homies from that point on. Honestly, I really miss the days in that house. Sadly, Stan moved on to the afterlife, flying high with the liquor gods. Rest in peace, homie. You were a real one. But that, my friends, is the time I almost fought a crackhead and I had to kick him out of my crib. It definitely was a crazy adventure and one the homies and I from Stan's house will never forget. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more crazy life stories. Stay tuned for more on Jolly Tales. Until next time, peace.